A kind waitress feeds a homeless man only to uncover his real identity. A revelation that leads to a heartwarming journey of gratitude, surprises, and life-changing opportunities life can change in an instant. And for Emma, an ordinary day at work turned into an extraordinary journey of compassion, surprises, and transformation. Emma had never imagined that a small act of kindness could lead to a chain of events that would alter her life forever. It was a late afternoon when Emma, tired from a full day of college classes, arrived at the restaurant where she worked. Part-time money had always been tight for her, as she worked hard to support her family while juggling her studies that day. However, Emma had managed to save a little bit of extra cash, just enough for a meal to give herself a small treat. After spending so much on her bills and tuition, a warm meal at the restaurant seemed like a rare luxury. The restaurant was bustling as usual, with families, business people, and couples enjoying their meals. Emma grabbed a menu and settled into a quiet corner, hoping to enjoy a peaceful moment before her shift began as she scanned the menu. The door swung open and an elderly man shuffled in. The man looked disheveled, his clothes torn and soiled his face. Unshaven, his eyes tired and searching. It was clear that he hadn't had a proper meal or shelter in days. He stood in the middle of the restaurant looking lost and confused, unsure of where he was. Emma paused, her heart instantly going out to him. She watched as her co-workers who noticed the man didn't offer him any assistance. They simply ignored him or exchanged judgmental glances. The man seemed on the verge of leaving. When Emma realized that he needed help without a second thought, Emma stood up, putting her own hunger aside, and walked toward the man. She approached him with a warm smile, gently placing a hand on his arm. "Would you like to sit down?" she asked softly. Her voice full of compassion, the man looked at her, surprised by the kindness, and nodded. Emma led him to an empty table, asking him if he would like anything to eat. The man, with a faint voice, simply said, "Hungry." Emma's heart broke without hesitation. She signaled to her colleague Jane, asking her to bring the man a full meal. Jane gave her a skeptical look, but walked away to prepare the food. Emma didn't mind. She couldn't ignore the desperate look in the man's eyes. She paid for the meal with her own money, despite the fact that she didn't have much to spare. As the man ate, Emma quietly sipped her water. Watching him devour the meal with a quiet desperation, he ate slowly, savoring every bite, as if it were the first decent food he had tasted in a long time. Meanwhile, Emma's co-workers continued to mock her, behind her back, whispering and snickering, clearly amused by her decision to spend her money on a stranger. Jane approached the table, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Well, aren't you a saint?" Jane said loudly enough for everyone to hear. "Spending your hard-earned money on some random old man who doesn't even know you're helping him." Emma's face flushed with embarrassment, but she kept her composure. "Is it so wrong to help someone in need?" she asked firmly. Her voice, steady, the taunting, continued for a moment longer. But Emma ignored them. She stood her ground. Her mind focused on the man in front of her, who was still eating. Suddenly, the restaurant owner, Daniel, a 32-year-old self-made businessman, emerged from the kitchen, known for his fair but strict management style. Daniel's presence instantly commanded attention. He walked toward the table, his eyes narrowing in on the elderly man as he heard the whispered comments from Emma's co-workers. Jane quickly explained what had happened. Emma had used her own money to feed a random old man who had wandered into the restaurant. Daniel looked at Emma, then at the elderly man. In that moment, something in his expression changed. His eyes widened in disbelief. He walked toward the man who was finishing his meal and wiping his mouth and froze. "Dad," he whispered in shock, his voice trembling. The elderly man, whose name was Patrick, looked up, and recognition lit up his eyes. He stood slowly, and before anyone could fully comprehend, the moment he and Daniel embraced tightly, the entire restaurant watched in stunned silence, unsure of what they had just witnessed. Emma, still seated at the table, was just as stunned as the others. It turned out that Patrick, Daniel's father, had been suffering from Alzheimer's disease a month earlier. He had wandered away from home, lost in the maze of the city. Daniel had been desperately searching for him and had even filed a missing persons report, but there had been no sign of Patrick until now. The man Emma had fed, whom everyone had dismissed as just another homeless person, was actually the father of the restaurant owner. Patrick had been living on the streets, relying on the kindness of strangers to survive. until he found his way in Emma's restaurant that afternoon. As Daniel and Patrick embraced, the emotional weight of the moment was not lost on anyone. Daniel looked at Emma, gratitude and awe in his eyes. He knew he owed her more than he could ever put into words without her kindness. His father might still be lost, wandering the streets. "Thank you," Daniel said to Emma, his voice sincere. "You've done something for me that I can never repay without hesitation." He invited her to join him in his office, where they sat down, and Emma shared her story. She explained the challenges she had faced in life, how she had grown up in a modest household, worked multiple jobs to put herself through college, and how her mother's medical bills were overwhelming. Daniel listened intently, deeply moved by Emma's strength and determination. Then, in a gesture that would change Emma's life forever, Daniel handed her $1,000 in cash. "This is for you," he said, "for your family's expenses." Emma was taken aback, unable to speak. She thanked him profusely, her eyes welling up with tears of gratitude. That evening, she went home overwhelmed by the generosity and kindness she had just received. The next morning, when Emma returned to the restaurant, Daniel offered her a permanent position as his father's caregiver. The job came with a salary twice which she had been earning as a waitress, and it allowed her to continue her studies while supporting her family. Emma accepted the offer with deep appreciation, knowing that it would ease some of the burdens she had been carrying as the weeks passed. Emma took excellent care of Patrick. His condition slowly improved under her care, and Daniel couldn't help but notice how much progress his father made. He admired Emma's compassion, patience, and dedication, and over time he found himself drawn to her in a way he hadn't expected. His admiration turned into affection, and he soon realized that he was falling in love with her. Emma, too, found herself developing feelings for Daniel. His kindness, generosity, and dedication to his family touched her deeply. Their relationship blossomed naturally, and before long, Daniel and Emma were dating. Their love grew stronger each day, and 1 year later, they were married in a beautiful ceremony, surrounded by friends and family after the wedding. Daniel continued to support Emma's family. He found her mother a high-paying job and helped her siblings receive the best education. He also rented a better apartment for her family, providing them with stability and comfort. Emma's life, once full of struggles and uncertainty, had transformed into one of security and happiness, all because of one simple act of kindness. Emma's story is a powerful reminder of the ripple effect that a single act of compassion can have. Her willingness to help a stranger not only change her own life, but also the lives of those around her. It's a testate to the idea that kindness, no matter how small, can have profound and far-reaching effects. Would you have helped the homeless man? As Emma did, let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring stories. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.